Good morning. It is good to see you all and and a blessing to be with you on this beautiful Sunday morning. My name is Richard Mirage, and I'm the lead minister here at Unity of Phoenix. Welcome.
And my name is Jimmy Scott. I'm the pastoral care minister here at Unity of Phoenix. Welcome. So Unity is a worldwide organization with a heavy emphasis on teaching some of the practical aspects of life, like prosperity, good health, abundant living. That, to me, is just an incredible realization. Every day when I wake up, I think about that, and I'm encouraged to live my life a little better. I hope you are, too.
Amen. Thank you, Jimmy. And now let's affirm our mission. Our community, our ministry has a purpose and a mission, and let's affirm it together. Unity of Phoenix is a loving spiritual community that welcomes all people and honors all paths to God. We are dedicated to transforming lives by inspiring and awakening individuals to discover God's Spirit within them. Amen. Everybody take a deep breath as we open our heart to feel that connection of God's Spirit.
And now is that time in our service for a time of prayer and meditation. So if you have your cell phone with you, I want to encourage you to either place that on silence or vibrate, and we will take our meditation song together. So as we begin this time of meditation together, I want to encourage you to ponder the words of that melody. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Because wherever two or more of us are gathered together, that presence is always there. But the difference is it is amplified and magnified as we unite our consciousness together. So I invite you to take a deep, relaxing breath, to make sure you're comfortable in your seat, to begin to breathe freely and deeply and naturally. I invite you to release and let go of any tension or any tightness in the body anywhere. And to slowly and very gently begin the process of slowing your mind down by temporarily setting aside all of the busyness of your activities and all the busyness of your week. Setting everything aside mentally and emotionally and just allowing yourself to be fully present to this present moment. There is truly something mystical that happens when we are able to quiet our minds and to fully open ourselves and appreciate the magnificence of God's beauty within us. That presence and power within us that feeds our souls, that soothes our hearts, calms the spirit, and enables us to know at a deep, deep level that all is well in our lives, despite the appearance of any outer chaos or confusion. So again, I invite you to take a deep breath. And over the next few moments, just allow yourself to be quiet and to be still, to be at peace with yourself, with your world, with your life. And at the same time, remain open and receptive to the infinite possibilities of good. That are in front of you. So one more deep, relaxing breath. And then just be still. In a prayer of gratitude, we give thanks for all the rich blessings that come our way and that are yet to come. And we give thanks in the name and through the nature of the living Spirit of Christ. And so it is, and amen.
I see her sitting all alone in a white and sterile nursing home. Day after day, she sits that way. Her eyelids droop and her shoulders stoop. It's not a life that she would choose. One lonely soul, a castaway. And she waits to hear the footsteps down the hall. Maybe this will be the day an old-time friend will call. She needs a kindly word, that's all. Lord, help me love the least of these. Help me to go where thy light leads me. Give me a heart that sees another's need and love to share with the least of these. He hasn't much to call his own, and I know he makes the street his home. There's no one to fill his hungering. And though some may say in lofty tones, he only reaps what he has sown, we cannot know his suffering. And the measure of a life is what we share. How we care about God's hurting children everywhere, for they have burdens we could bear. Lord, help me love the least of these. Help me to go where thy light leads me. Give me a heart that sees another's need and love to share with the least of these. His life is sad, for he is held in a gray and lonesome prison cell, year after year, behind dark walls. I don't know his crime, but I know this much: it's really not for me to judge. There's only love, as I recall. And the only thing that God expects of me is to willingly give love as God has given me, and bless my brother in his need. Lord, help me love the least of these. Help me to go where thy light leads me. Give me a heart that sees another's need and love to share with the least of these. And love to share with the least of these.
Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Woo. Wasn't that fabulous? Let's hear it one more time for Cerise and the band. You guys, that was awesome. Oh, awesome. All right. Good morning again, everybody, and a special shout out to everybody who watches us online. Thanks for tuning in. So there's this husband and wife, and they have this really bad argument. And they are so mad at each other, they refuse to talk to each other, and they just give each other the silent treatment. But an hour or so after this fight, the husband realizes he needs his wife's help to get up early in the morning, as he has a difficult time getting up. And he doesn't want to be the first one to break the silence. So he decides to write her a note. I have an important business meeting in the morning. Please wake me up at 5 a.m. so I can get to the airport to catch my flight. So he goes to bed, and he puts it in a place where he knows she'll see it. So he goes to bed, and he wakes up the next day, and it's after 9. He's missed his flight, and he is absolutely furious. And as he's getting out of bed to go find his wife to find out why she did this, he notices there's a note on his pillow. And the note says this: "Wake up. It's 5 a.m. Relationships. How many people would agree that relationships are not easy? How many people also agree that relationships can also provide our greatest joy and our deepest level of fulfillment? Amen. You know, in Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, one of the greatest lessons he learns and teaches as he realizes is that relationships is what gives our lives meaning. Relationships are the things that we anchor in to get us through the most difficult times. Holding on to that love, to that connection in relationships, you know, helping and giving and supporting one another is what truly gives our lives meaning. When you think about it, relationships of all kinds are opportunities for us to give love and receive love. They're opportunities to learn and grow, to discover the joy of giving, to discover compassion and caring and kindness, how to support, how to appreciate. You know, as the old cliche says, no one on their deathbed ever wishes they spent more time at the office. You know, the thing that makes our lives fulfilling isn't how much money we achieve, isn't how much education, how much fame, but it's really the quality of our relationships. And I love that line, life is relationship. Life is relationship. And when I started thinking about this, I realized there is a deeper message there for all of us. Life is relationship. So I looked up the definition of relationship, and it says this: a significant connection or similarity between two or more things, or the state of being related to something else. The connection between two or more people or groups. When I started thinking about this, life is relationship, you know, I realized we're in relationship with more than just individuals. That we aren't just in relationship with our spouse or our partner, our kids or our parents or our neighbors or our co-workers or even strangers. We are in relationship with all of life. Life is relationship. That we are in relationship with nature. That we are in relationship with God. We are in relationship with ourselves. We are in relationship with energy. We are in relationship with time. We are in relationship with abundance. We are in relationship with life. Life is relationship. You know, today's talk was originally entitled Dealing with Difficult People, but I decided to change the title for two reasons. Number one, this week I was being a very difficult person, and I decided I did not want to deal with myself. And the second reason I changed the title is I have been enjoying that past 2-week series on the book The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks so much, I wanted to extend it for another week. And I also, a part of that extending is I wanted to expand our idea and our awareness of life is relationship, of what we think relationship is. You know, the book, The Big Leap, is about expanding your capacity for joy, expanding your capacity for success and abundance, of taking that big leap into a greater and more fulfilling experience of life. And I truly believe that understanding relationships and how to deepen that connection in all of our relationships to life is really one of the keys to going deeper in taking that big leap. In the first week, he talked about the upper limit problem, that every one of us has only one problem in our life that holds us back, and that's that upper limit problem. And it's the human tendency to put a limit on exactly how much love we will allow into our lives, how much joy, how much success, how good we feel. And that when we exceed that limit that we have created, that sometimes we end up sabotaging our own success and happiness because we're not comfortable to go beyond that limit, and we need to learn how to recognize it and expand that upper limit. Last week, we talked about the importance of living in our zone of genius, that every one of us has a zone of genius, innate spiritual gifts, that we are here to share with the world, that we are here to bless and to create and to make a difference. And he said that our most important work is to discover and bring forth our zone of genius. And everyone thinks when there's a zone of genius, we think it's something extraordinary. It is extraordinary and unique, but it's usually simpler than we realize. That our zone of genius is already couched in some larger skill that we have, that if we just go a little deeper, we'll find out what that area of genius is. Sometimes that area of genius, we think, there could be one thing, but often it's something simple of just being able to listen and feel people's energy and know the best way to relate to them. It could be bringing out the creative genius in children. It could be being able to organize things for people in a way that helps them understand. There are all kinds of levels of genius that we have, and when we live our lives more in that zone, what happens is we expand our joy, we get more energy, we make a greater difference, and the things that tend to distract us just tend to fall away because we're living more in alignment with the truth of who we are. We're living more authentically. And today, we're going to talk about understanding and expanding our relationship with life, and understanding the quality of our relationships with all aspects of life really determines the quality and the experience we have in life. So the first thing we're going to talk about is our relationship with people. Every one of us wants to feel a connection. Every one of us wants to feel loved. We want to feel supported. We want to feel valued and appreciated. We want to feel a sense of belonging. We want to feel that bond, not only with individuals, but even with groups and communities. And relationships are the vehicle through which we do that, to get the thing that we are here to do, to express love and to feel love. And yet it is the area that we probably sabotage ourselves the most in. It is amazing the ways that we put an upper limit and just put the brakes on, allowing love into our lives. We have all kinds of different techniques. We create power struggles. We try to make someone wrong and make ourselves right. We blame. We use criticism. We can push people away. We can try to be controlling. And we have all kinds of different ways. Start arguments. But we have all kinds of ways in which we limit the amount of love that we allow and feel in our lives. I want you to think about your relationships. And how much love do you let in? And what are the ways that you limit experiencing and sharing more love in your life? One of the things we tend to do is we tend to look outside of ourselves for love. We look for other people's approval and other people's validation because we think love is outside of ourselves. So we look outside for other people to make us feel loved, to feel validated, to like us. And if they don't, then we blame them or criticize them or hate them. Again, thinking that love is outside of ourselves. But the truth is, in whatever relationship you're in, whatever level of conflict or frustration you're going through, or any way you want to improve any relationship in your life, that the number one thing we need to do is to not look outside, but begin to look within, to begin to focus within ourselves. So in whatever area or individual you have a conflict with, the number one thing to do is to actually go within and just allow yourself to feel God's love. All right, just take a deep breath. No matter what your conflict in, you turn away from the negative and you allow yourself to feel the unconditional love of God. And even if you can't feel it fully, at least believe and know that God loves you unconditionally. And as you feel God's love, the next thing you can do is just say, God, help me to heal what I need to heal, to open my heart to more love. Help me to forgive or release whatever I need to release to feel more love. And just send yourself as much love as you can. Take a deep breath. And just allow yourself to love yourself. And from that place of love, I want you to think of that person you're having a challenge with. You'd like to improve their relationship. And I want you, as best as you can, is to send them love and blessings of peace and abundance. As best as you can, deep breath. that the only way any relationship in our lives will get better is us to look within and cultivate love in our own hearts. Cultivate it for us, feel it, the love of God, feel love for ourselves, and from that place extend love to others. And I guarantee you, it will always work. Looking outside of ourselves for love and to heal conflict is not the way. It'll never work. But it will always work when we go within and feel God's love, feel it for ourselves, and express it to others. So looking within is number one. And the second thing is you got to be willing to be vulnerable. And you got to be vulnerable with two things. Number one is to tell the microscopic truth. You know, many of us are afraid to tell the truth. Many of us are afraid to say what's really on our minds, or afraid to ask the people closest in our lives what we want or what we need or what isn't working. I remember when I was in seminary, I had a classmate, always left my door open all the time. It was seminary. It's a safe place. But I had a guy who used to come in my room all the time. He'd eat my popcorn, he'd eat my stuff, he'd answer my phone, he'd watch my TV. And then it was starting to wear on me. And I'm thinking, okay, there's only so much brotherly love I got in me when this guy is using my room, and he's got his own. It's starting to eat me up inside. I'm thinking, how would I tell this guy? I need to tell him something. And I'm working on this for a while, working on it, thinking, oh, and then suppose he gets mad, and I have to tell him off. And I'm thinking all this. And then finally I say, John, you know, you've been going in my room when I'm not there and just shooting stuff, and I'd really appreciate if you didn't. And he looked at me and he said, okay. And I thought, what? I spent a week freaking out about this and rehearsing it. And the fact is, that's the truth for everybody. The fear we have of not sharing our honesty of what's going on with us is worse than actually saying it. The greatest thing you could do to create distance and build a wall between people is not be honest with them. And the most loving, connecting, intimacy-creating thing you can do is to share with people what's going on with you. And it's not a matter of yelling it or screaming it, but you can just say, I'm feeling scared right now. Or I felt really sad about the fact that you didn't show up for dinner when you said you would. Not make it about them, make it about how you're feeling. Or I feel angry about this. And if in a situation, if someone starts fixing you and telling you, you say, I just need you to listen to me. Just being honest, you will be amazed. In some simple way of just sharing a simple truth will begin to open your life to greater peace and greater connection and a better relationship. But you have to be willing to be vulnerable. Again, it starts here. Second thing is you got to give yourself permission to feel your feelings and to let other people feel their feelings. Anybody ever been in a situation, someone get emotional, and you say, oh, please stop crying? No, let them cry. And let yourself cry. We sometimes say things like, oh, there's no need to be mad. No, let them have their feelings. One of the greatest things that causes pain is that we refuse to allow ourselves to feel pain and process pain. When you acknowledge pain, you feel it, it'll actually move through you. But when you deny it, it gets stuck in you. Many of us don't let ourselves feel our feelings, especially unity positive people. They think it's not good to feel fear or anger. You know what? It's healthy to feel fear and anger. Let yourself feel it and let it pass through. And you will be much more healthy, much more whole, much more connected and available to be in a relationship. And the third thing is, notice the times when you have so much love that you don't know how to. What happens is when people become very intimate or very connected and they feel that close, they get so scared they push the other person away or do something, create some drama, you know, because it's just too much. Like, let me give you an example. My brother and I, one of my brothers, we had this really intimate moment where we were just sharing our love for you, how much we loved each other. And we were looking at each eyes and affirming each other and saying how much we love. And there was so much love, we felt uncomfortable, so we punched each other in the arm and just went the other way. I don't know if you've ever had a moment there's just so much love, you don't know what to do with it. So in those moments, it's reaching your upper limit of love. And so what you need to do, two things. Number one is in that moment, notice the discomfort and just close your eyes and take a deep breath and say, I am willing to expand my love or my capacity for love. Let's do that together. I am willing to expand my capacity for love. And you just take a deep breath and catch yourself in that moment. And the other thing is you need to do something physical to ground yourself. Like go for a hike or clean a closet or bake a cake. Because when you get a higher level, serious, or a pie, whatever it is, is that when you get there, you really need to ground yourself. Because sometimes when we get those high euphoric connections of love, sometimes, we can undermine it, and you need to ground yourself in something grounding. So, so in relationship with people, the number one thing you need to know is you are the one in charge of the relationship. Don't look outside to blame or for approval. Turn to the love of God within. Express love for yourself, and then open your heart to send love to the other person. And then allow yourself to be vulnerable. Open yourself to be more connected by being more vulnerable. And then the last thing I want to share is, I think the importance of having a good attitude in relationships, because the bottom line is relationships are going to have their ups and downs. There are going to be times we have interactions with people where we said, I wish I said that better, or I wish I handled this better. So just having an open attitude that I'm learning, I'm growing, that I'm getting better in my relationships will really do you more good than you'll realize. I'll talk about attitude a little bit more and the importance a little later. So the next, relationship with people, powerful. Next, let's talk about our relationship with time. What is your relationship with time? You ever thought about that? How many people ever felt like you don't have enough time? How many ever people like you're racing against time, you're running out of time, you're fighting against time? Anybody ever feel like that? When you think about our relationship with time, we actually have a pretty unhealthy relationship with time, many of us. A relationship that is so unhealthy that, in fact, it's dangerous for our health. It is difficult. It creates challenges in our relationships and in our business. Many of us relate to time that time is something outside of us that is pressing against us. The time is our master, and we are its slave. The time is against us, that time persecutes us, and we are the victim of time. We can think this way about time. It's out to get us. There isn't enough of it. It's pressing against us. Let me give you some studies. There is a study about the typical heart patient. Do you know the typical heart patient? They are marked by one thing. They always feel a sense of urgency with time. They feel pressed against time all the time. Our relationship with time can actually create a lot of unnecessary internal tension. It can create a lot of frustration, and it create inefficiencies. But do you know, if we switch our relationship with time, that we could actually get more joy, more productivity, and more peace of mind? In his book, The Big Leap, Gay Hendricks talks about the difference between Newtonian time and Einstein time. He says Newtonian time is, we believe that there's a finite amount of time, and that time is out there, it's a scarce commodity, and it's always pressing against us. It's the outside pressing against us. But he says with Einstein time that it's relative. That with Einstein's time, that time isn't outside, time's in us. That we create time. That we own time. That we can expand time. And notice with this relativity idea, you spend an hour with a loved one, it goes by in minutes. You put your hand on a hot stove for a minute, it feels like hours. There's a difference. And he said the interesting thing in that is in uncomfortable situations, the stove one's a bit extreme, but in uncomfortable situations, we don't like it so much. We crunch up the amount of time, space that we take. We don't want it to be there, so we create discomfort. And what we do is we congeal time when we don't want to be present to a situation, and you actually make time go slower. But he says when you're with their loved one, you want to expand and fill, the space and the experience. You want to be fully present to it. And the more you're present to any situation, actually the more time flows with you in a positive way. So you give an example in the book of someone who's chronically late, always rushing, always going behind every day. We can get in those patterns of being late and running and always having something get in the way of us being late. So he had this experience with this guy, and he taught him how to do this, and he found that as he was more present, not feeling urgency and relaxed, that things actually began to flow. He felt more peace on the journey, and he was able to arrive places on time because he switched his attitude. He switched his relationship with time, and it actually started working with him in more positive ways. So not only our relationship with time, and I'll get back to it, but let's jump to our relationship with stress. It's interesting that studies show our attitude towards stress changes our relationship with stress. You know, I saw on TED a fabulous talk, and they cited this study that was done with 30,000 people over an 8-year period, and they asked them, so how much stress did you experience in the last year? And they asked another question, and that is, do you think stress is harmful for you? Everybody who answered that they have had a very stressful year, they had a 43% higher chance of having a heart attack and dying. But if, only if, they also agreed and said yes to the second question, do you think that stress is harmful to you? But do you know, for the people who had the equal amount of stress, but believed that stress wasn't harmful for them, they actually didn't they had a far less amount of risk about having a possible heart attack. And in fact, even lower than people who had low stress but believed that stress was harmful. So the belief that stress is harmful actually creates more stress than stress itself. And it's absolutely true. And here's what they did. They did another study where they took people and they gave them something stressful to do, like they had to get up and do a spontaneous talk on all their weaknesses, you know, while an audience of people that they had weren't listening. And believe me, that's stressful. And but here's what they did, was they put them through this stress, but they said, look at stress differently. When your heart rate goes up and you feel stress and tension, I want you to think, that's my body's positive way of getting myself ready for this experience. And when your breathing goes heavy, realize it's your body's way of loving and supporting you by putting more oxygen in you. And see it as a positive experience. Well, normally with stress, heart rate goes up, breathing goes up, and the veins constrict. The arteries constrict. Well, this time, the heart rate went up, breathing went up, but their arteries stayed dilated. Because their attitude was, this reaction I'm having is actually helping me. And do you know what? The veins and arteries staying dilated, that physiological reaction was exactly the same of what you experience with joy and courage. Isn't that interesting? Our attitude or our relationship with stress changes the experience and impact of stress. Our attitude and our relationship with time changes the impact and the experience of time. So here are the two things we need to do with time. Number one is stop making time an excuse for why you can't do things. Anybody, you know, a child comes to play and said, oh, the child is like, oh, sorry, I don't have time to play now. Well, that's not true. If your child came and their head was bleeding and they needed stitches, we'd have time. The reality is we blame time for things, and the truth is, I would like to finish my work and then I'll play with you later. That's the truth. And so we need to stop using time as an excuse. Anybody ever said stuff like this? I wish I had time to chat, but I'm in a hurry. You know, I'd love to do that, but I just don't have enough time. There are simply not enough hours in a day. You know, I wish I'd gotten more sleep. You know, where did all the time go? How was your day? Oh, busy, crazy busy. What we don't realize is every one of them, we're complaining about time, and we're blaming and using time an excuse. So practice number one, no complaining about time. No complaining, no things about not enough time at all. And number two, and it's a part of the same deal, is take full ownership of your time. It is not outside of you. Claim your time and don't let it put a claim on you. Own your time. I take full ownership of my time. Together, I take full ownership of my time. I am the source of time. Together, I am the source of a time. I can make as much of it as I need. Together, I can make as much of it as I need. See, when you switch and allow yourself to take control of time, not complain about it, you will change your relationship with time and it'll flow. Remember the book of Ecclesiastes? It says, for everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to mourn and a time to laugh, a time to sing, a time to dance. There's enough time for all of it. The question is, what's your relationship with time? Final relationship I want to talk about is our relationship with abundance. What is your relationship with abundance? Many of us see that abundance is outside of ourselves, that usually there just isn't enough. You know, there's not enough time, there's not enough money. You know, I'm not thin enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not tall enough, I'm not successful enough. Whereas all the not enoughness, we live in a mindset of scarcity. that around us there isn't enough. Abundance is something outside that we don't have access to. You know, just how we think love is outside of us. We think time is outside of us. We think abundance is outside of us. But remember what Jesus said? He said, the kingdom of God is within you. The kingdom of abundance is within you. The kingdom of love is within you. The kingdom of joy is within you. And when Paul said, it is in God that we live and move and have our very being. And God is love, so it is in love that we live and move and have our very being. It is in abundance that we live and move and have our very being. It is in peace that we live and move and have our being. It is in wisdom we live and move. It's already here. The thing about our relationship with abundance, abundance is in us. The kingdom and the blessings and the fullness of God is right here. The question is, are you aware of it? You know, are you present to it? Are you feeling the relationship and connection to it? Because most of us feel disconnected from it, but we are actually, in reality, always connected to it. So this week I was feeling cranky. And I got a little flu thing, and it got me crankier. So I'm at my house, you know, kind of feeling grumpy and feeling off. And so I like doing journaling. So I'm doing my journaling, and I put all the things I'm grumpy about. And then I write, so what else is up? Tell me more about your life. I had to think for a second, because, you know, in the grumpy state, that's all you can think of. And then I thought, well, I'm home alone, and I feel safe, and I have a really nice house, and I have enough food to eat, and I have friends who love me, and I have a really great family, and I have a fabulous job, and I love what I do, and I love the people I do it with, and I feel very blessed, and I love that I live in Phoenix, and I love that it's cooling down. I mean, and I just went on, and here's the point I'm trying to make, is abundance isn't outside of us, it's already in us. The question is, how present are you to it? How aware of it are you? How much are, you know, the best thing we could do to expand abundance is to feel it now. It's to experience it now. It's to enjoy it now. It's to feel good about it now. It's to celebrate it now. I will guarantee you have enough now, abundance now, that you can celebrate and rejoice and feel good. And that's the way you expand joy. That's the way you expand abundance. That's the way you expand your life. Life is relationship. We are in relationship with all aspects of life. And this week I invite you to take time and to understand and expand your relationship with people, your relationship with time, and your relationship with abundance, because that is what will help you take the big leap. God bless you all.
I didn't know who I really was. I didn't know what I really wanted. A lifetime of searching for the answers just left me broken and empty-handed. Each road I walked only led to sadness, but I could feel my higher purpose. And when I let go and surrender, I finally heard the voice of God, and I answered the call to lead the world to love, to know that there's more than enough, to go beyond what we can see and help just looking for a little kindness. In a world where love is underrated, and so many seem to be alone, I know the truth that we're united, connected through the source divine. So I choose to go into the darkness until the whole world sees the light. So I answer the call to bring the world to love, to know that there's more than enough, to go beyond what we can see and help the world believe. I answer the call to know the highest truth, to see the good that lives in you. So whatever God asks me to do, I stand and answer the call. I answer the call to lead the world to love, to know that there's more than enough, to go beyond what we can see and help the world believe. I answer the call to know the highest truth, to see the good that lives in you. So whatever God asks me to do, I stand and answer the call. I stand and answer the call. I stand and answer the call.
So let's stand and join hands as we sing our closing song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Now our prayer of protection. The light of
God
God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is.
Hey, Brian.